It was crazy. I did that to myself. But anyway, so, but yeah, so it's a lot.
Does
Yeah.
it look bad when you ask for extensions? Like, had you realized you can't do this, and you keep asking for?
I think if you, it does if you do it excessively. I personally just didn't want to do it. I thought, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to ask for an extension, and I'm not, and I didn't. But it's overburdensome on you. We are the record. It really was unnecessary to do that to myself. I'm kind of glad I did because it really just kept me on top of the game. All my records, I mean, I'd still be doing them if if I hadn't done what I did, but it doesn't. I think if you ask maybe for 2 or 3, it should be okay. And you can explain, you can list, look, I have these trials I'm working on. And they do ask you how many pages, they are, the one that you're working on. But you can give an explanation, and it usually is fine, unless it's excessive. I know in the past that there have been a couple of people who have asked for them excessively, and then it looks bad on them. But not all of us as a whole. It was just something that I just didn't want to do. I'm doing it now. I just want a life now.
So then obviously at that time, you didn't have that balance, with your family.
No, I
and
didn't,
work.
and that's why I'm saying it really wasn't worth it. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, fortunately, I have one kid who's my 3-in-1 child that I call PETA, and y'all know, you know what it stands for. But yeah, and it was difficult for him, I think, too, because I wasn't there all the time, or I was there, but I wasn't mentally there, or I wasn't as patient, where I'm really a very patient person, usually. But it's just not worth it. And you need time for yourself. That's what I'm saying. Now I'll ask for an extension. So I'm not going to freak out. Except now that I'm on the civil side, I want to make sure I'm getting all that stuff out rather quickly. Because there, on the civil side, it's very different than it is on the criminal. On the criminal, you have some time to get your stuff out. Civil, these guys are paying you. So they're going to give you money, and they want their transcript in a week or 2. They're not going to sit around and wait, kind of deal. And they're willing to pay you extra, even if it's like, 100 pages. They're willing to pay you $10 or $15 a page to get it to them like that. And so you kind of sit there and think, I don't want to do this, but you do it. I mean, you want to do it at the same time because it's also your reputation you have to take care of. And you want to take care of your judge. I mean, you're a reflection of each other. That's how I felt when I was working with Judge Skinner. I wanted, it was her first term. I didn't want to ask for an extension, because I was a reflection also, and I wanted her to know that she had a good court reporter, and people to know that we were a good court. But so at the end of the day, it's all great, but you really kind of have to find that balance. And for me, I was just trying to strive to overachieve, and you kind of tend to I forgot a little bit, about my family and stuff. But he reminded me, so.
Going back to the real time, when you do provide real time to the attorneys, is it on their laptop or do you provide something? I know Brooke had her little iPad, but I don't know that she, just freely handed
Are you
it
talking
out.
about Brooke with County Court 10 with Judge Crouch?
Yeah.
I think she just provides that to her judge. The
Yeah,
only
don't
one
think
that
she
I
was going there, but
knew.
the fact that she had it was impressive.
Oh, yeah,
But
it's
I
pretty
didn't know.
cool.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. I just didn't know if you could provide the real time on their laptop. Does that mean you would connect?
What's
Wire?
the fee? Because I know that you can charge per connection. I didn't know if there's a.
Yeah,
a
and
rate
in court, it's different in court, and I've not done it in court. I only provided it for my judge. I've just never had to do that. Tracy Ray is on the civil side. I don't know if you'll remember her, but Tracy also went to Zachary. And for a long time, she was providing it to the attorneys, but a law firm donated those laptops. So they were already sitting there. So yes, I mean, technically, I can give them laptops, so I can get this iPad deal. If I did that, I would just give it to my judge because it's a whole lot easier. But you can do it, but it's really kind of not, it doesn't really happen, at least at our courthouse. Only one I know of is Tracy Ray that was doing it for Judge Posa, and she's no longer doing it. I think there was a flaw or something happened just recently, so she's not doing it anymore, but she did it for a long time, several years. I almost want to say like 10 years or something. But yeah, you don't have to do that. So. And then usually in cases where they really want real time, then they're going to want daily copy. So they'll get it at the end of the day kind of deal anyway. Or, you know, of course, you can just read it back, so, which I don't mind doing. But yeah, so we don't really do that. So you don't have to concern yourself with hooking up to anybody. And by the way, it's kind of stressful too when you do that. When somebody else is watching your real time, it's really nerve-wracking, and it's kind of cool once you get, you know, when you're with a judge and you get this relationship that you feel comfortable doing it with, because, you know, it's like being on your first date all the time. You want to impress that person, especially when it's your employer, depending on who your date is, of course. But, right, David? So, anyway, but it's really, you know when you're, for me, if I knew I wasn't doing well, I had an off day. None of us are perfect by any means, but you have to feel comfortable with who you're real timing for too, and she understood. She was really good with it, and if you do it out in the free world, like, you know, in court with attorneys, I'm not sure how they would, you know, handle all that kind of stuff. I would think they'd be okay, but.
So you never get over those jitters?
No.
Because I thought maybe just in school that.
No, I don't have that much confidence. I mean, maybe it looks like I do, but I really don't. I mean, when you're sitting there, you feel confident within yourself. I'm looking at my writing. Like right now, I feel like I'm writing like crap because I've been doing criminal for so long, and I'm over here doing all this new stuff, and it's just not, you know, marriage stuff in the matter of the marriage. You know, I'm doing all this other kind of stuff with, you know, breach of contracts and having to do with money and all different kinds of stuff on the civil side. And you don't even know what's coming at you any day. I mean, criminal, all your cases, you know, the terminology is basically the same. It could be a murder or an aggravated sexual assault, but the terminology is the same. On the civil side, it's completely different. It's kind of overwhelming. It was intimidating for me. This is my third week, my first week. It was a Friday, and we had 8 attorneys come in. And it was and they were all nicely dressed, money, $1 million cases, and it was very intimidating for me because I hadn't heard, you know, that lingo either, and I was trying to get my groove on, you know. My confidence was just gone. I was, you know, misstroking. I know this sounds bad, I mean vain, but I don't misstroke. I don't misstroke usually. I'm a pretty good, clean writer, especially after these many years, you know. But it was horrible. It was just horrible. I'm looking at my real time, and it just looks like it looks terrible. So, and I'm not used to that. But anyway, so it's really cool at the same time because it's challenging for me. I'm up for the challenge. I had become very complacent and criminal. And this sounds horrible. It was kind of boring after a while, and you kind of knew what was going to happen. You knew what the defendant was going to say or the witness, or you kind of know, like David probably does in his court by now, I'm sure. And with civil, it's, you know, my brain's getting stimulated again. You know, it feels kind of cool. My fingers are not quite caught up to my brain yet. You know, I'm still trying to get it. But anyway, so I'm enjoying it. It's just a little tough right now. But it's good. Change is always good. So.
At what point do you feel that you say that you're a clean writer? Because right now I'm writing, and I'm just having the most difficult time passing the 225s. I mean, that's what's keeping me from, you know, getting even my first knock. And, you know, I just could feel myself misstroking. I'll add a Z, or, just add letters that are obviously not supposed to be there. At what point did you feel in your career that you got over that? Or were you just a clean writer?
It sure wasn't in school. It really wasn't. School is really, really hard, you guys. I mean, this is probably the most, for me, aside from raising my kid, I would say raising kids is the hardest thing you could ever do in your life. And then there's court reporting school. And that was for me. Court reporting school is really hard. Once you get out, it's amazing how easy it was. Like when I took that real-time test, it's like, oh, anything distracted me. I mean, it didn't bother me. I can handle distractions. Whereas when you're here, oh my goodness, if somebody drops a pen, it distracts you, and you're off your game. But out in the real world, it's not really like that. So I have to say, for me, it was when I got out of court reporting school. Like I said, I mean, I hit 240 in a year. And I probably could have taken, you know, the state test by then. I had passed everything. I was in 240, and I had tried to take it. I just couldn't pass it because anything was distracting me. I remember there was a mask writer. Y'all know what mask writers are, right? There was somebody that was sitting like right there one time that I took my test, distracted me. That was it. You know, just one or two little things just had me off my game. So for me, you know, there are some people who are naturals. Hey, that is fantastic. But it was just too hard for me, so I have to say when I got out of school.
When you
Yes.
actually take the test, is someone, is it live dictation, or do you put headphones on and listen to people?
Well, I took it 1,000 years ago, but for me, it was not live dictation. It was just an audio deal. I don't know, do you know what they do now?
I think for the TCRA, it's still live. They've now switched, the NCRA has switched, and you take it, you don't even have to drive. You get onto, I forget, it's a particular software, and they load the test for you, and you put your headphones in, like, in your home,
Oh,
and you
whoa.
take it now. They just offered the last national, I guess, like, go-to. So now it's all offered through, what is the software that
That real-time coach?
Real-Time Coach is offered
Yeah.
through Real-Time Coaches. The NCRA test is apparently offered visually.
Well, that's cool.
So I don't know if eventually they'll switch for the TCRA so people don't have to drive to the location, but I know.
Because, both you and David have talked about being somewhere and hearing someone with a mask and the dictation, hearing them repeat it, and I was wondering, when I've got my headphones on and I listen to the dictation, I don't hear outside stuff. I see, I could see somebody doing something, but I don't hear it because I've got my headphones on. That's why I asked, was it live?
It's live at the TCRA, it's live.
When we took the state test, it was on an audio machine. Everyone took the same test. So it's on a tape. They would tape it, and everybody takes the same test.
So there
Oh,
has to be-
So you're listening
Right.
to you're listening
Oh,
to it,
We're
yeah.
okay.
all in one
Okay.
room.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's not plugged in with
No.
your headphones?
Mm-mm.
No,
No.
no.
No, selling we had to take a typewriter and
That's right, I forgot about all that.
somebody in the back didn't even
Well,
know
it's
what a
just as
typewriter
bad
was.
He's giving her grief.
But
And
it's
I had
just
to
as-
haul it around 3 times taking that test.
Yeah.
Like,
But
ugh.
it's just as bad now because we've got to take a printer. I think that's.
Oh, you have
just
to take a
really-
printer?
yeah,
You have to print
that's
our own
so
test.
silly.
Yeah, but it's, it's
Hey,
2
but
pages.
they're lighter,
You can take
you
those
guys.
little bitty
You have
printers
to make
that-
sure you click if there's a part in the TCRA form, if you don't check the box that you're bringing your printer, you have to actually rent a typewriter through them at the test. So make sure you check the box that says, I'm bringing a printer.
And then if you don't get it to sync with your laptop
Yeah.
that day,
Yeah.
There's different stressors.
Mhm.
Absolutely. That's tough too. I know when I took the real-time thing, I kind of freaked out a little bit because initially something was wrong and it wasn't syncing. Something was going on that even then after I finished the test and turned it in, and that too kind of made me question maybe, something didn't work right. It didn't sync and maybe more dropped or something dropped. And so I think that happens with, all your tests. It's just different things, different times, I guess, kind of deal. So,
From the time that you got out of school to the time you passed the first time, what did you do since you hadn't passed the test? Did you work as a scopist, or did you
No.
just continue going to school?
I went to school. And this is one thing that I wanted to finish. I had never quite accomplished anything that I wanted to accomplish at that point. From that, childhood on, sort of. I always wanted to do something, but I do it and kind of, I lost interest. But anyway, so I knew I was going to do this and I was going to finish it. So I would go back to school and then I'd go home. I worked at USAA part-time. I was working full-time after I bought my car, and then I worked part-time going to Zachary. And after school, I'd go home. I'd work afterwards, then I'd go home and I'd listen to the news, and I'd sit there and write the news. For lit, something. So I'd write the news. I would look up all kind. I even did it to songs. I'd write to songs, just trying to get anything that would motivate me to keep me writing and get my speed going. Is what I did. I was constantly on my machine. It was like my best friend. So I just kept going. I just knew I was going to do it. And I knew I'd finish. I knew I'd get it. You just have to be motivated enough and determined enough and want it. You just have to want it. And, blow everything else off. Because you know what? All that other stuff's going to be there anyway. So, you just got to stay focused on your goal and do it. Because it can be done. Y'all can do it. If I can do it, y'all can do it. You just got to want it. So. Have any of y'all ever done it written to TV or anything? Yeah.
I write all the time to NPR, really good stuff. And it comes out really fast.
What is it? I'm sorry?
NPR, National Public Radio.
That's crazy
Nice.
stuff.
Yeah, that is. That's great for lit.
Addiction
A lot of
level is
political-
a lot higher than.
A lot of political stuff.
Really
Yeah, which is what you want to
There's
listen to
all
for
sorts
lit.
of stuff. 'Cause for a
Yeah,
while I
60
was-
Minutes. You know, you
I
can do
don't
60
watch
Minutes.
that.
I used to do 60 Minutes. I don't write it because of that, just with the lit and the current events. And when you take the lit test, it's with current events. So it was really helpful for me to do that. And you know, when I started working with County Court 10 with Irene Rios, we didn't write as much. So I don't know if y'all know who Kay Counselor is. You may know who she is. She taught at Zachary, and she's a court reporter also at Bear County. And she sat with, and still does, with Judge Rodriguez in County Court 3. So we had adjoining courts. So we would sit in a room, and believe it or not, we were still listening to tapes. So Glenn would give us tapes, and we just sit. I was bored. You know, I didn't want to lose my speed. You know, I thought, you know, I'm not writing as much every day. And so we would sit there, and we would just sit and write and listen to tapes. And so even as a court reporter, as when I was out and certified, I was still doing it. Because you just, for me, I want to stay on my game. You know, you don't want to get rusty. At least I didn't at the time. But anyway.
So do you still practice prior to a trial?
No.
Or before court?
No.
You read too much now.
Yeah, I've just done so much, and especially the last, you know, these last few years with Skinner, I've worked my butt off in there. I mean, I didn't have breaks, or very short breaks. I'm writing like 350 pages a day. And so I don't need to practice before I'm tired. You know, your brain and hands can only handle so much. And then I'm working, like we'd go in at 8, normally it's a 9 o'clock court, but we were there at 8, and we'd work till 6 o'clock sometimes, or, you know, and have like a couple breaks here and there, but no. And when you're at the courthouse, you really don't need to do that, depending on where you're at. You know, I knew at the time I was gonna do something else. This was the beginning of my career with Bear County in 2003 is when I moved here in 2001, and then 2003 is when I started working in County Court 10. So I knew sitting there, I wasn't going to be there forever. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew within myself I was going to push out eventually, which I did. I like to go, kind of go. Right now I don't think I want to as much, and I did it. So I mean, I went from there, as I said, like being a swing reporter, which was really cool because a swing reporter, auxiliary reporter, you work, you know, all the courts. So for me, I'm kind of social. And so I really like talking to people, so it was really kind of cool to go to criminal and talk to the staff there, or the judge, and then go to this other criminal court, and then go to civil, go to CPS court. I used to love going to David's court. The cases, you know, you feel like a great parent the second day you're there. But it was a cool court because the staff was fab. I mean, just a great staff. Loved going there all the time. Anyway, I'd work there like a week, sometimes 2 weeks, because he was hunting. Who knows what he was hunting for, but you know, hey. So anyway, but I loved that. I mean, and then going like to juvie court, and it's kind of cool to see all the dynamics of the legal system. So I really enjoyed that, and I just kind of like the PR stuff, knowing people, getting in the mix of stuff. So, I mean, I still try to go to fundraisers with different judges and different, you know, civil, criminal, juvie, whatever kind of deal, to try to stay in the loop. It's always good to stay in the loop of things. I find that I have found that it's worked to my advantage. But anyway, so being a swing is really cool. If you could ever get to the courthouse, I'd try to be a swing beforehand. I think it's a good gig because it's your way in everywhere.
Mhm.
So anyway, but
I have another question.
okay.
In the book, it goes over court transcripts and it describes the Popper's affidavit.
Uh-huh.
Have you had any experience with that? How does that, I guess, work?
I have. I think we both have. I mean, we don't actually deal with it ourselves. The attorneys have to file a Popper's affidavit, which means that their client gets what's for them a free record. It's an indigent record. So it's, you know, it's half the page rate. And now I'm finding out it's like, yeah, basically. But anyway, so they get it. But anyway, we don't really have to deal with that. No court reporters actually have to deal with the paperwork with Popper's affidavits, usually. The attorneys have to file all that kind of stuff.
you just get the check with the amount for the record, or is it just essentially? they use
Well,
it as
once we
a-
know how many pages it is and once we complete it, then we invoice it out in the county usually. Well, the judge will sign it, authorize it, and then the county will send us a check sometime, someday, some month, some year. So, depending on, how busy they are. So, but yeah. And those are tough for us. I mean, initially when I had all those trials, like I was saying in the criminal court, I kind of dug it. I mean, I didn't even care how much, you really don't care how much you're getting paid at some point in your career. I didn't care. I loved the experience. But now where I'm at, I'm kind of caring a little bit. And you work so hard and so many hours that if you work on the civil side, I think, you're just not working as hard as you are on the criminal side. But, I mean, you're still working hard. It doesn't matter. Either way, you're working hard, but you're just paid differently. So if you're on the criminal side, it's usually all your cases are going to be indigent. It's very rare that you get a retained case. And when we do, it's like, yay. Cha-ching. But, so, do you have any other questions?
What's the biggest record you've ever had?
Oh my gosh, it had to have been the Capitol.
That's 6 weeks?
Yeah, and I had something like 47 volumes. I think it was 47 or 48 volumes.
How many pages do you think?
Easy, 200 to 300, 350, just depended
A
on the
day.
day. It just depended on the day.
So, a minimum guesstimate would be like 250 times 47?
Mhm.
Yes. Or you could just say even 200 times 47. Yeah.
So
How much per
upwards of
page?
9,000.
Well, if it's
pages.
indigent, it's like it's 350 a page if it's indigent. If it's retained,
It's retained.
I agree. See, you know what? I felt like that. Look, I grew up, you guys, on the south side of town. That's why I had to quit school, buy myself a car, because what you see is what I got myself. So, so don't get me wrong. That's right. That's why I worked hard. I got it all done. But now that I'm done with it, it's kind of like, wow, to think I could go to the other side and
10,000, about.
and go to the other side and kind of make double. And I'm still working. I'm not even working as hard. I kind of am, but it's just a different level. It's completely different. But it's hard. I mean, there was nothing easy about it. So, but now believe me, I'll still take $3.50 a page. And really, when it came right down to it, I wasn't even making the $3.50 because I have a scopist. So I gave her $1.10. So I was
You're making
making
$2.50.
Yeah, I was making
Or
$2.40 a
$2.40,
page.
yeah.
And that's cool because at the same time, I needed some balance because while I'm in these trials, my scopist is scoping for me, and she's giving me proofreading, but I'm still in another trial, so I'm still going. I mean, I'm still knocking it out. So, but yeah, I'll still take whatever you'll give me. But now I'm just on the other side for now.
So do you still hire